Yeah, hey everybody, how's it going? I just wanted to touch base with you and patch up some things from Hinduism and Buddhism and relate those back to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Okay, so one of the things that we've seen in our discussion board in our cyber cafe is this difference between exclusivism and inclusivism. Okay, so whereas Judaism, Christianity, and Islam can be seen as exclusivistic, meaning they make very exclusive claims for themselves. They are the true religions. Okay, whereas with Hinduism and Buddhism, and as we'll see in a bit, with Taoism and Confucianism, these religions are more, inclusive or inclusivistic, meaning in the phrase of a great Hindu sage, the lamps are different, but the light is the same. Okay, so there's one light source, that would be the absolute, or Brahman, but each religion has a different lamp, okay, but the light in that lamp, or in those lamps, is the same. Does that make sense? The lamps are different, but the light is the same. So in Hinduism and Buddhism and Taoism and Confucianism, there are many paths to God, okay, not just one, okay, and many see this as one of the beauties of the religions of the East, because these religions allow for many, paths to God, okay, so, Christians can, be liberated, okay, as can Jews and so on, okay, whereas in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, it's a little different, okay, so for example, within Christianity, you have to give intellectual assent to, various propositions, Jesus is God, Jesus died for the sins of the world, and so on. At least in the more conservative or even more fundamentalist versions of Christianity, you have to give intellectual assent to various claims that are made, like, for example, the claims in the Nicene Creed. Okay? And if you don't, you fall outside the pale of orthodoxy. In other words, you're in big trouble with God. So everybody eventually has to come to Jesus and recognize what Jesus did, and it's not, what the Buddha did, because the Buddha himself would be in need of salvation, according to some interpretations of Christianity, okay? So the religions of the West can be seen as exclusivistic, and you pretty much have to become a part of those religions to be saved, except for Judaism. Judaism's a bit different because, Judaism teaches that, you just got to be a good person to get to heaven. It's not so much what you believe, it's, how you live your life. It's how you treat other people. It's how you treat the planet. It's how you treat the animals and the earth. So it's more about deed and not so much creed in Judaism. Okay, whereas in Christianity, it gets more creedal, at least in the more conservative or in the more fundamentalist versions of Christianity. Okay, and in Islam, you pretty much have to acknowledge that Allah is the only God, and Allah has no partners. There's no second person that is equal to Allah, or a third person that's equal to Allah. It's just Allah and Allah's final messenger, Muhammad. And you have to believe in all the prophets to be a Muslim. You got to believe from Adam all the way up to Muhammad. Okay, and if you reject Allah and Muhammad, there's a special place for you. Okay, and you can be punished in this life. And you can also be punished in the next life, okay? So it's probably best to say the Shahada and, acknowledge that there's only one God and Muhammad is the messenger of that one God, and, live according to Sharia as best one can, or at least as insofar as the country you live in will allow Sharia to be lived, and so on, okay? So Western religions, Western religions versus Eastern religions. Eastern, okay, the West, there's a personal God who makes serious demands on people, whereas in the East, there isn't so much a personal God like there is in the West, okay? God who creates the world, who, parts the Red Sea and raises, Jesus from the dead, let's say, and, is the judge, and is going to consign people to either, eternal, an eternal vision of God, or eternal separation for God, whereas in the East, there are multiple, reincarnations until we get it right and we can escape this world into, samsara, or escape the world into nirvana, let's say, if we're Buddhist, and we escape the wheel of samsara. Okay, samsara is this world And it's in this world that we keep getting born into over and over again because of our bad karma. Okay? So that's just a quick, 1-2 on, the nature of religious truth claims. Okay? With the East and the West. All right? So, lastly, we focused on the problem and the solution for each of these religions that we've seen in Professor Steve Prothero's book. It's important to, compress and simplify our thoughts, so that we're in the supermarket line or we're waiting in line at Memorial Stadium for a game. People don't have all the time in the world to listen to us ramble, let's say, on some long dissertation about, what are the essentials of Buddhism, let's say. If we can just say instead, the problem with Buddhism is suffering, and the solution to that problem is enlightenment or nirvana, boom, we've just knocked out a whole lot, like in a sentence or two. And, in an age of Twitter and Facebook, if we can really boom it with all these religions, and if we take the ethics class with each of the ethical philosophers and the theories we cover, if we can just boom it, we don't waste people's time. And so that's why reading poetry will help us to compress and simplify our thoughts. Reading these essays and the Allison book will help us to compress and simplify our thoughts. And that when we go out into the world and we can just, we're just going to be on it. We're going to be in top form, and we're going to show people that, our minds are quick, and, we don't waste time. When we talk about something, we just get right to the essentials, right to the heart of the matter. And that's the way it should be, okay? Because, information travels fast. People's attention spans are competing with so many different stimuluses out there, or stimuli. Okay, I mean, we have to make a point and make it fast, and it's got to be coherent. So, reading poetry from Bukowski, reading the essays from Allison, getting the problem and the solution down. Okay, we're getting a bit of a backdrop in American religious history. This is a very unique experiment, this thing called America. Okay, the government shouldn't be favoring one religion or another. It shouldn't be giving a thumbs up to say Christianity, because then, there's going to be like a state church then, and it's going to start persecuting other religions that the government doesn't give thumbs up to. The government should be neutral in all this, okay? And as flawed as America is, one writer recently said that, America was put together by, very flawed men who almost got everything right, okay? As far as, Constitution and freedom goes, they were very flawed men who almost got everything right. Okay, that's an interesting way of putting things, okay? But we can think about that and perhaps even debate it. But, if America is such a rotten country, why does everybody want to come here? You can look at it like that, okay? So just things to think about, okay? Very good questions, by the way. Very good questions. All right? So I'll just end with that, and I'll meet up with you in a little while to cover some more of the bases. And I think we're all doing great work in the class. And reach out to me if you have any questions about one of the rules that we've covered, the one we're currently covering, and the ones we will be covering. And I look forward to the rest of our class. It's hard to believe we're headed toward the finish line. So that's all. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.